We are on Daf Chav Beis Amud Beis, and basically we have learned until now that there is machlokes between Rabbi Huda and the Rabbanon. That according to Rabbanon, loy osir Rabbim u'mevatel mechitza. If you have a mechitza, the Rabbim are not mevatel the mechitza, and therefore it remains the Rosh Hashanah, even though the Rabbim are going through it. And according to Yehuda, the according to Yehuda, osir Rabbim mevatel mechitza. That if you have a mechitza, even though you have a mechitza on four sides, nevertheless, if the Rabbim go through it, then the Rabbim are the mevatel the mechitza, and it's not a reshus hayachid anymore. Then the question was, even if it's a steep slope, do we still say that? And the Rabbim they go there. Right? It's a steep slope, therefore it's loy nichal shmishay. Do we still say that osir Rabbim mevatel mechitza? So the answer is this is Rabbi. Rabbi answered that even if it's a steep slope, still if the Rabbim go there, is osir Rabbim mevatel mechitza even of a steep slope. That's where we are. The Gemara says, Esav, I'll ask you a question. That's sort of in the middle of the page, Daf Chav Beis Amud Beis. Esav, I'll ask you a question. Chotzer, Sherabim nichnosin lo, Sherabim nichnosin lo, bezu, v'yetzim bezu. The Chotzer, that the Rabbim go enter it from one side and they go out from the other side. So obviously we understand that the Chotzer, when the Rabbim go through it, it's a little bit not so. It's a little bit loy nichet ashmishay, because at the end of the day, a Chotzer, the opening is going to be narrower than the regular where the Rabbim are going, the regular space they're going, and also probably you have to step up to take a step. So therefore, it's not so nichalei. Anyway, so what does this Brisa say? That the Chotzer, which the Rabbim go through it, so it's Rosh Rabbim l'Tumah, Rosh Yochid l'Shabbos. So for Tumah, it's considered Rosh Rabbim. The Tumah, there are two dinim. If you have Sofik Tumah, B'Shus Rabbim, it's Toher. If the Sofik Tumah, the same Sofik, is in a Rosh Yochid, so then it's Tumah. So this Chotzer, where the Rabbim go through it, is concerning Tumah, is considered the Rosh Rabbim. Akolpani, concerning Shabbos, is Rosh Yochid l'Shabbos. It's considered the Rosh Yochid l'Shabbos. So you see, the Rabbim are not mevatel. And not mevatel is mechitzas. So let's see, Mani. Who's this Brisa according to Rabbanon, which or is it according to Rabbi Rabbanon? If you say the Rabbanon, so then what's the chiddush of the Brisa? Even the case of the passing around the well. So there where it's very open. And it's nichet hashmishay. Nevertheless, the Rabbanon, their principle is that loy osir Rabbim mevatel mechitza. If you have four mechitzas, even if the Rabbim, even the Rabbim going through it, it's still considered Rosh Hashanah. So therefore, hochad nichet hashmishay. What's so not so easy to go in to Rosh Hashanah, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a bit of discomfort there. So for the Kolshkin, for sure, they will hold that it has a din of a Rosh Hashanah. And so therefore, there's no chiddush. So since why does the Brisa need to tell us this din? Elalav. So the Brisa, what must be the chiddush of the Brisa? Elalav Ribudi. It's a Brisa of Ribudi which holds that osir Rabbim mevatel mechitza. The case of Pasim, in the case of Pasim, when it's easy, hakan mevatel mechitza. And therefore, but when it's not so easy to go in, like in Rosh Yochid, because of the narrow entrance, etc., and other things, so then Taka, when it's not so easy. Rabbi Huda agrees that loy osir Rabbim mevatel mechitza, which is against what Rabbi said. Rabbi said that according to Rabbi Huda, even if you have a steep incline, still if the Rabbim go there, osir Rabbim mevatel mechitza. So the Gemara responds that it's not a kasha on Rabbi. La'olam Rabbanon. The MS, this Mishnah, this Brisa is Rabbanon. You're asking me if this Brisa is Rabbanon. So what's the chiddush of the Brisa? Because we know already this din, know it from our Mishnah. Why does the Brisa have to write it? So Sigma says, "The chiddush is that it is considered the Shus Rabim L'Tuma." So even though that we say that loy also Rabim Mevatel Mechitza, negate to Shabbos, nevertheless for Tumah it is considered Shus Rabim. That's the kitzah. So it's no raya from this brisa to the shitta of Rabbi Huda, because this brisa is b'shittas Rabbanan. A similar situation will be in the next brisa. It'll be a similar. The question answer will be similar. Let's see. Toshma, we learned the voice some philosophies, an alleyway which you can go through, which you can go through. You go to one side, you go through it, and go out the other side, exit the other side. So it's and the boiris besichin ubemairas, and it's in boiras, it's in pits or in caves, etc. So those type of alleyways is yochid Shabbos or Sharabim Tumas. Concerning Shabbos, it's yochid. Concerning Tumas, it's Sharabim. Now, the first thing the Gemara does is try and make a little bit to understand the words of the Brisa. What the Gemara says, the Brisa is the boiris halkadaitach. What the street? These streets are in a boir or in a cave. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, so we have to correct a little bit the wording. Lib boiris. Instead of lib boiris, it's not that the street is in a boir, but lib boiris, it leads to a boir. In other words, that these streets we're talking about a street which you can enter one side and go through the other side, and the rabbim obviously go there, but it leads at one end. It leads to a boir or to a myra, and therefore the rabbim, when they go, when it comes to one of the entrances, they have to sort of edge their way around the boir, not to fall in the boir, and to go through. So the kitzur, it makes quite substantial difficulty because of the boir there, and they have to edge the way around it. So, nevertheless, even though it's difficult to use, nevertheless, what do we see? That it's considered the Shus HaYachid for Shabbos and the Shus HaRabim for Tum. So, the Boyer is, so what does it say? Shus HaYachid Shabbos or Shus HaRabim Tum. So, money. Let's see who's this price. Elam the Rabbanon is considered this price the Rabbanon, and therefore it's considered the Shus HaYachid for Shabbos because the Rabbim cannot be mevatel the Mechitza. Is hashtama or some the nichdash mishay amri the osram battle hochid the nichdash mishay le kolshkein. So why does the Brisa need to say that? It's the Torah portion. We know that from our Mishnah. If even a thing which is easy to use, like the case of the planks around the well, it's easy to go through. It's considered the rabbim cannot be mechitza. So certainly in such a case, sure the rabbim are not battle the mechitza, and it's considered shosayok. So this price must be Rabbi Hudi. Rabbi Hudi, it's Rabbi Hudi, and therefore, so we see according to Rabbi Huda that if it's difficult to go through, so even though the rabbim are going through it, but if it's difficult to go through, so then it's considered a Shus HaYachid concerning Shabbos. So it's a kasha Rava that said that he considered if the rabbim are mevatel the mechitza contribute even when it's difficult. Sigma says La'elam Rabbanon. You can't bring the raya from this brisa because the emes this brisa according to Rabbanon. You're saying if it's Rabbanon, what's the chiddush? It's considered the Shus HaYachid. And there's no chiddush about that detail. Which is Rabbanon Tumah is rechili. The chiddush is about the Shus Rabim the Tumah. That for Tumah is considered Shus Rabim, even though it's difficult for the Rabim to go through it. Never to use it. Nevertheless, it's considered Shus Rabim. Another brisa is going to be slightly different over here. Toshma we learn Shvile Beis Gilgul, the roads of Beis Gilgul. Beis Gilgul is a place in Eretz Yisrael where it's a very steep incline to go on that shvil. And similar to Beis Gilgul, not only Beis Gilgul, which was known as but also similar places. So Shus HaYachid Shabbos, Shus HaRabim Tum. There's Shus HaYachid Shabbos and Shus HaRabim Tum. The Ezer Shvile Beis Gilgul, what is considered similar to the shvili of Beis Gilgul, the similar halacha. Amri the Rabbi Brianai, so the Rabbi said Kol she'ein ha'eved yochel lita saw shel chitin. The eved can't take the saw, which is an amount, this amount of chitin to carry such amount. The yorot lifnei sardatya, sardia, that he can't run. So the kids of the eved can't run with when he's carrying the saw of chitin, which normally you can run, but it's so steep that he can't run carrying this load. It's too hard for him. So that is considered a this similar halacha to Beis Gil. So again, the Gemara is asking money. If you say this is Rabbanon, that's considered it's considered a Shus Yachid. So Ma'ahosam the Nichitash Mish Amrin Rabbanon also Rabban Batan Mechitza. Just if in the case in our mission over here, which is the Chacham say that the Rabbi are not Batan Mechitza. Certainly in the place where it's difficult for the Rabbi where it's difficult to walk there for the Rabbi for sure. It's not the Rabbi is not Batan Mechitza. So it must be the Rabbi Yehuda, and so we see according to Rabbi Yehuda that when a case when it's difficult, so we don't say the Rabbim are mevatel the mechitza. Amalei, he said to him, the response was, "You bring me a raya from Eretz Yisrael, Shvila Beis Gilgul Kamras. You bring a raya from Eretz Yisrael. From Eretz Yisrael is taka no raya, because because in Eretz Yisrael." All the difficult areas to work are considered Shus Yachid. In outside Eretz Yisrael, so according to Rabbi Yehuda, we say also Rabbi Matam Mechitza, even a place where it's difficult to walk. If the Rabbi walk there, but according to but in Eretz Yisrael, then we don't say also Rabbi Matam Mechitza, even though the Rabbi go through it, as he'll explain in a second. Like Yeshua was Oyev Yisrael. Therefore, Omad v'Sikel Drochin Sratya, he made them roads, and he made them with the roads where they should be for the people. And so Kol Heicha the Nichet Hashmishte Musril Rab. So every place where it's easy to go through, so he gave it for the Rabbi, which belonged to the public. Kol Heicha the Nichet Hashmishte. When it's not easy to go through, so he didn't. So he Masril Yachid, he gave it to Yachid. It shouldn't be a place where the Rabbim go. It should not be a place where the Rabbim go, because it's difficult to go, since Lo Nichet Hashmishte. And therefore he gave it away. It became private property. So therefore, all the difficult places in Eretz Yisrael where it's difficult to go, so they're all private property. Since they're private property, so then we don't say, even Rabbi Yehuda, who says that if the public lepoil go there is also Rabbim Batla Mechitza. They go through a Mechitza, there's Batla Mechitza. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says, but not if it's private property. Since Yeshua, when he made all those difficult places to go, he made it private property, and for the Rabbim he gave easy places to go. So therefore, if it's private property, we don't say Osi Rabbim Mevatlim Chitzer. Mashenkin in Chutz La'aretz, where it's not private property, then Osi Rabbim, even on difficult places where it's difficult to go. Now we said before, so we're talking about the making we put the planks, we put the diumdin, which are the two planks at each corner, etc., and then we're matted to carry in the area around the bird. It turns into Rosh Hashanah. Now this is a very big leniency. We have big spaces. It's more than Eser Amas, etc., and there's part of the and it was normally such a thing is not considered a Pesach. So there is there's a very great leniency to allow us to turn the area into Rishus Hayachid. So this leniency only applies. It says the Mishnah Echad Beir Rabin. You can use it. This leniency of making the pasim, these planks, the corner planks around the Beir for Beir Rabin. If it's a public Beir, Ube'er Harabim, and a well which belongs to the public, Ube'er Hayachid, and a well which belongs to an individual. You make pasim. But for a beir which belongs to a private person, so then you need to have a proper mechitza around it in order to turn the area around it into a shus hayochid. The reason being why we are machmir ba'bayr hayochid is because this whole leniency is in order that they should be able to drink water. That's what we have the leniency for this purpose. And a bayr hayochid might dry up, and it collects rainwater, so there's no rain for a certain amount of time. It will dry up, and then the person might still end up and carrying in that area because he's used to it. It's a shus hayochid. That's why a beir hayochid, you have to have a proper mechitza. You can't use this lenience. Whereas in a beir harabim, we're not so worried because since it's a public place, other people will remind. If they see somebody carrying there and it's dry, they'll remind somebody. And the wells, there's no worry. We don't worry that the wells will dry up. So therefore, all wells you can make this leniency of having the passing. Okay, that's Rabbi Kiva. Yehuda ben Bava takes a more strict opinion. He says, "Ein oisim passing el of eram bilvad." You only make these planks, the corner planks, so on, only for a well and the well which belongs to Rabbi, because any boyer, of course, if it's a boyer, not a well, a boyer water, it might dry up, and even a bear. So it was only the leniency is only when it's a bear rabbim, when they have a rabbim who will benefit from it, and so on. And but if it belongs to an individual, then the kula wasn't applied. Well, l'shar on all the other scenarios, the other three scenarios, oisim chagura govaya asaret vachim. You make a proper fence, and chagura is because you can make the fence of strings. That's what Rashi says. It means oisim chagura because you make the fence of strings, like using the principle of lavud, and that only that is good. You cannot have the passing. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Halacha Yehuda ben Bava. So the Rabbi Yosef, the name of Shmuel, said halacha is like this, like the stricter opinion of Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. That's one thing which Rabbi Yosef. But Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Shmuel, another thing says, Lo Yehutru Pasibiro is that the heter for the wells and using just the planks of wood, the corner planks of wood, it's only for a well, and not for any other things. So it's it's twice the same thing. The paskin like Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. Rabbi Kiva says you can use it even for a boyer shorabim. So the paskin Yehuda ben Bava would say that. So why did you have to say these two halachas? Just say one of them, and that's it. So the Gemara says it's shricha. You need to say both things. Let me see. When learning this, the use of language, as used by the Mishnah. So it depends how it's used, and therefore the answer to the Gemara is going to be that we could interpret the Mishnah to mean in one way, and therefore you had to say it twice. We shouldn't interpret the Mishnah to mean in such a way. If you just say the only one statement of Rabbi the halacha Yehuda ben Bava, how I mean the halacha Yehuda ben Bava, I would have said the Rabbim afilu mechanosim. I would have said yes, halacha Yehuda ben Bava, but I would have said that the Yehuda ben Bava's opinion is that a boyer shel Rabbim is permissible. I would think that Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava permits a boyer shel Rabbim, even though he said the words in the Mishnah. It says ein oisim pasin elo lebeir harabim bilvad. So it says only a well of the Rabbim, and nevertheless, I would still think that a boyer of Rabbim is still permitted. Why? Because when he said the words be'er harabim bilvad, he was speaking as a response to Rabbi Kiva. So therefore, if it would be his own statement, then you would not be able to think that he permits a boyer shel Rabbim. But if it's in a response to somebody else who made the statement before, so maybe it's just a response to part of that statement. The Fukim is Rabbi Kiva, that he said be'er Rabbim. You, Rabbi Kiva, say even be'er hayachid you're permitted to make this leniency, and I say no, only be'er Rabbim. So therefore, we could misunderstand, and I mean because we could have that's why. So that's why he had to add that the other statement that the only wells. The only heter is for a well, not for a boy. That's that's why you need the second statement. I would say only the second statement. I would have thought if you say you can only use the heter, this leniency for a well, I would have thought all wells, Yochid or Rabbim owned. That it's only a Rabbim. So from the fact that he said twice, he said extra words, that gives us understand that he's trying to stress something, and therefore he's trying to. So what must he be trying to stress by saying it twice? That the only scenario where he permitted to make this is when it's a be'er of a rabbin, not the other three scenarios. I was trying to say before that the usage of language in the times of the Mishnah, when everything is so, I can use the word maybe cryptic and very short, could be slightly different than the way we understand it nowadays, because everything was very short and yeah, that's all I have to say. The mission next continues. Rabbi said, he says, that is a place which is not, a garden, which is vegetables. You grow vegetables. People don't live there. A karfa is a place where you store wood. So it's for storage. You don't live there again. So shehem shivim amo v'shirayim al ayin amo v'shirayim. If it's the size of a base sasayim of 2 saw. Now let me just see. The base sasayim is the measurement of the chotzer of the Mishkan. The chotzer of the Mishkan was 50 amas by 100 amas. So that comes out to be 5,000 square amas. Now 5,000 square amas. What's the square root of that? The square root of that is 70 and something. 70 times 70 is 4,900. So a square amas. So it's 70 and something by 70 and something. So that's if we take the this base asayim and if we make it into a square. So it says if this is the size of the square is a base asayim, shivim amma. So this is the size of a base asayim. So hamokov is geder gavoya asora tfachim. If it's a high 10 tfachim, so even though it's not a base dira, you're allowed to carry. But so he says, but if it's not base dira, you can't carry. So even if it's base asayim, he says if it's not a base dira, you can't carry. But you can only carry it either if you have this karva is shemira, a place for the guard to be base dira, or dwelling place. If you have a dwelling place, for sure is good. The kids, in other words, so what is normally these things are not a base dira, but what he's saying is, according to Rashi, certainly that that you can only carry it if it's a base dira. So he's being very machmir, because he's saying that you have or it's next to the city. So if it's next to the city, so also consider the base dira. Why? Even though there's nobody's actually living there, but you use it a lot. You're going to use it. You're always coming backwards and forwards to taking things and so on, putting. So it's also considered hukaf l'dira. So we see from Rabbi Hudman Baba, he's strict. He says this dinner based on Sayim, it doesn't apply to loy hukaf l'dira. It applies to even if it's hukaf l'dira. Even if something is hukaf l'dira, it's made for the dira, like we said, he has a guardhouse or something else. Nevertheless, the maximum size which you're allowed to carry is if it's a base sign. If it's more than base sign, you will not be permitted to carry, even though it's hukaf l'dira. Tosfos says that according to Rashi, it could be that according to Rashi, we're talking about something which is a gina or a karf. So it's not really a proper base dira. It's not a proper hukaf l'dira. So even though it's hukaf l'dira, but it's not a proper hukaf l'dira. But if it's, because at the end of the day, it's a gina. and it's not a place where you live in, it's a what's it called, a place of storage. It's not a place of living. But if it's a proper place for living, then even Rashi, even Yehuda ben Bava will agree that you can have more than base aside. But actually, let's get back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah, so it's considered hukah fladira. It's technically considered hukah fladira. Okay, it's not the most amazing hukah fladira, but it's considered hukah fladira. And nevertheless, the maximum amount of size is base aside. Rabbi Yehuda says that even you don't need to have an actual dira. We have just a well or a myra in there, which so that itself, the usage of the bayr and sicha, which is going to be used, that's good enough to make it considered like hukah fladira. So even if you don't have a dwelling place there, the fact you have this usage of a bayr, which you're going to come a bit often, is good enough. So what I'm saying is that if it's not hukah fladira, then if it's not hukah fladira at all, then even a base of Sayim, you'd not be permitted to carry according to Yehuda ben Bava. Okay. Rabbi Kiva says, even though it's totally, there's none of these things there, it's not a base dira at all. If it's base of Sayim, according to them, according to Yehuda, if it's not hukah fladira, even if it's less than base of Sayim, you can't carry. But according to Rabbi Kiva says, no. This dinner based assignment is for something which is not hukah fladira. That something is hukah fladira, you have no limits. I feel it's not hukah fladira. But if it's anything more than that, you will not be able to carry. You cannot carry it at a place which is not hukah fladira if it's larger than the basic sign. Rabbi Lezer says, now we're going to say that this din that you're allowed to carry in the base of Sayim is only if it's a square. But if it's not a square, then you will not be able to carry. It has to be the square shape. The Chachamim, the Tekona, what they made the Chachamim, they're allowed to carry in the base of Sayim, because with the rice, it's all Rosh Hashanah. So this whole thing this is all midrabanan. So if it's not a square, if it's then you're not allowed to carry. If it's not hukah fladira. If it's not hukah fladira, you cannot carry. It has to be a square only. And Rabbi Yosef disagrees with that. Rabbi Yosef if it's not a square, it's also you can carry. It doesn't have to be exactly a square in order that the Chacham should allow you to carry if it's not hukah fladira. As long as it's the measure of the base of Sayim, whichever shape, it's fine. You can carry that, even if it's not hukah fladira. Okay. Rabbi Eloi, Shemaitim Rabbi Eliezer, not Rabbi Eliezer, because we had him before. This is Rabbi Eliezer, another Tana. I feel he says that even if it's not hukah fladira, even if it's a large area, you can also carry. So he's mamish matir. Shemaitim Rabbi Eliezer, I feel base skur, even if it's a base skur, and it's not hukah fladira, you can carry that. I had another halacha which I heard from him. He's going to give a list of 3 halachas. That's just the 3 halachas which Rabbi Eloi heard from Rabbi Eliezer, and he didn't find anybody else who sort of agrees with him. Anyway, if they have a chotzer, people living in chotzer, you have a number of people, and they make an eruv, they have to all participate in the eruv. Basically. So one of them, he didn't participate in the eruv. One of the people who live in that chotzer. The chotzer belongs to all of them. So all the people who have the houses in that chotzer, they all have to be started in the eruv in order to be able to carry. In order to be able to carry in the chotzer. What's the concept of the eruv? The concept of the eruv is that we say it all belongs to one. They're all together. Everything belongs to everybody. The houses are all together. They're all just one. It's all one rishus. Instead of the Chachamim do not allow you to carry from one rishus to another rishus. So your own house is your individual rishus, the private rishus. The chotzer belongs to everybody. No, the chotzer belongs. So you can't carry it from private rishus to a thing which belongs to everybody. So what the concept of the eruv is that you say that all the houses and the chotzer belongs to everybody. So if all the houses and all the chotzer belong there, therefore you can carry because it's all the same, because they're all the same status. The chotzer and the houses are the same status. It all belongs to everybody. Now, what happens if one of the people he forgot to be b'shtatev in the Erev, lo Erev. So, and then later, what's doing Shabbos? So Shabbos, what he did was he was mevatel his reshus. He was mevatel his reshus. So it's just a concept that he didn't do the Erev, he didn't participate in the bread, making the place, and so on. But he's mevatel his reshus. On Shabbos, he's mevatel reshus to everybody. So nevertheless, also melachas l'hoitziloi. So he cannot carry from the he cannot carry from the house to the chotzer or from the chotzer to his house. Avolahem, the other people, mutter. Once he's mevatel reshus, since mevatel reshus, they're permitted to carry into his house and take out from his house. Only for him, since he wasn't an Arab before, so he himself will not be able to do that carrying. I will get right. So that's another halacha. Instead of morah, as one of the types of morah is this thing called arkevillin, whatever. And so yoytze morah. The kids said these are the three dinim, which I heard from Rabbi Lezer. And I asked around if anybody else has heard this. None of the Talmidim have heard this from this Rabbi Eliezer. I was the only one that seemed to have heard. I'll try and see if I can manage another piece of Gemara. Says the beginning starts off with the word oid. Oid Omer Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, because we had a din before with Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. That was the previous din of you can only use the pasin is only for a well which belongs to a rabbin. Then it says va'oid. So it's man tana the ketani va'oid. Now va'oid usually. So why does it say va'oid? What's the continuation? He said this and he said va'oid. Ilam we should say mishum the tana v'chad v'chumra v'tana achris mishum hachi ketani va'oid mishum hachi ketani va'oid. Sorry. The oid is like it's similar to what's before, and is adding. So maybe the pshat. This is what Gemara is saying now. Maybe the pshat is since before we had a chumrah of Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava against Rabbi Kiva, and now this is also a chumrah. There's two separate dinim that have no connection between the two. The Mishnah before and this Mishnah. Nevertheless, here's a chumrah and there's a chumrah, and because of that, it says v'oid. So what you're saying that the reason why it says v'oid because it's one chumrah and now it's another chumrah. That's why from the same person we say v'oid. Just before that we had two mishnahs. In the first mishnah we had the din of Rabbi Yehuda, and then in the second mishnah we also had the din of Rabbi Yehuda over there. And the two separate the din. One has to do with the Rabbi Mevatel Mechitza. That was the second mishnah, and the one before was about the one before was about if you have the amount of base assigned, he limits the passing to the passing to a base assigned around the well. So it's two separate dinim. And it says one din, it's one chumrah, it's both the chumrah of Rabbi Yehuda. You have two chumras, and nevertheless it does not say v'oid. So you see that the fact that it's two chumras is not enough. So the Gemara says, no, you can't compare. It's two chumras. Hasam hafsekur rabbanon, hachalei hafsekur rabbanon. If you look that over there, you don't have two statements of Rabbi Yehuda. You have a statement of Rabbi Yehuda, the Chacham respond to him, and then later you have another statement of Rabbi Yehuda. That's why it doesn't say v'oid, because in the middle the Chachamim make a break. The Chachamim in the middle they made they responded to him. So therefore, since it doesn't follow one after the other, so therefore it doesn't say v'oid. But here when you follow one after the other, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, and it follows on with another Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, it does say v'oid. So the Gemara says you can't say that. Why? That's also not word. But in Sukkah there's a Ma'aseh Rebbe Lezer there, and there is a response in the Rabbanon, and it still says v'oid. So the Gemara says, it says that why it says v'oid over here, why why even the Chachamim were mafsik? It does say the oid because in Sukkah, because it's on the same subject. It's on the same subject. Therefore, it says the even though mafsik. Rabbi Yehuda, the two Rabbi Yehudas, it doesn't say the oid because since the mafsik and it's not the same subject. If it would be the same subject, it would say the oid by Rabbi Yehuda as well, not just by Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. Here, it's not the same subject and the mafsik. No, that's why it doesn't say the oid.
Sure.